Again, that's Matthew, the 3rd chapter, and verses 13 to 17. We all have it. Matthew, the 3rd chapter, verses 13 to 17. Give you a second to get to it. We all there? Then cometh from Galilee to Jordan unto John to be baptized of him. But John and Jesus answering, and and lo, amen. May God have a blessing to the readers, hearers, and doers of his word. Just for a brief moment this morning, I want to use for a thought. Do the right thing. Do the right thing. The text this morning is found, obviously, in the Gospel of Matthew, 3rd chapter, verses 13 to 17. It says, Then cometh Jesus from Galilee to Jordan unto John to be baptized of him. But John forbade him, saying, I have need to be baptized of thee, and comest thou to me? And Jesus answering said unto him, Suffer it to be so now. For thus it becometh us to fulfill all righteousness. Then he suffered him. And Jesus, when he was baptized, went up straightway out of the water, and lo, the heavens were opened unto him, and he saw the Spirit of God descending like a dove, and lightning upon him. And lo, a voice from heaven saying, This is my beloved Son, in whom I'm well pleased. How many know God now is speaking to us through Jesus? He reminds us that, first of all, I need you to understand that God is still alive even in this day and age. Even in the day of age where we have so much going on, so much trying to use the right words, don't want to offend no one, but we know all police are not bad, but unfortunately we have some bad apples. But by the same token, we also realize that all of us as people, black, white, green, or blue, we're not always right neither. And sometimes we make some mistakes as well. And God reminds us that Jesus is still in control. And here it is, Jesus himself, right before he's ready to start his ministry, his earthly ministry, he finds himself going to be baptized by John, who is 6 months older than him. And John, first thing John tells him when he comes to him, he said, hold on, I forbid that. In other words, he says, listen, I don't allow that. I'm not going to have you to come and be baptized for me, because that is my job. In other words, he ordered him. He told him, he said, I refuse to allow this thing to happen. And so as a result of that, he said, I forbid thee. I refuse to allow you, who is actually above me, to be baptized of me. But how many know sometimes just because you're great and you're big doesn't mean you should know how to look out for somebody beneath you? That's part of the problem we're having in society. We have a bunch of folks who are high and mighty, and they forget that every so often there's someone bigger than you and still know how to come to you and be humble unto you. I wish I had a witness up in here. There's a lot of celebrities that have come out now because of this particular incident, because all they can hear is the words that I can't breathe. But how many know there are right now people who are living today are still saying the same words, I can't breathe. And it's not because the police are persecuting them, it's because the devil is hot on their trail. Anybody know what I'm talking about? There are some people right now saying, I can't live because, or I can't breathe because I got bills that I can't pay. I can't breathe because I find myself always underwater, always feeling down, always depressed because I don't know how I'm going to get out of this here. And as a result of this, I find myself always suppressed. But I'm here to tell you, Jesus came to be baptized, to start a ministry that says, guess what? You can do it, but you got to know how to do the right thing. And sometimes doing the right thing is blessing folks who you don't want to bless. Sometimes it's treating folks right who you refuse to treat right. Sometimes it's going beyond what you think is right and doing something extra. And Jesus reminded John, he said, first of all, I need you to understand, stop looking at my title. Stop looking at my position. I know you're the forerunner for what I'm about to do, but I need you to understand I respect you too. Somebody needs to understand that even the big folks, there are some that know how to respect the smaller people. And those that know how to respect the smaller people normally have better lives and normally are more prosperous in life because they know how to treat people right. Think about all the stories in the Bible about Jesus and what he could have done to folks. And yet in his compassion, he's found a way to forgive people even when they used him. He tells us to forgive those that despitefully use you. And yet in the midst of all that right now, do we not have some folks that despitefully are taking advantage of the situation? Everybody out there that's looting and rioting, I want to just tell you one thing. How are you doing us as a black nation, or even as the white folks that are protesting with you? How are you doing us justice if all you're doing is destroying your own neighborhoods? And I heard somebody say, guess what? God will make a way. I'm here to tell you, God has already made a way. That doesn't mean you have a right to be ignorant and disrespect God's order and his rule. Jesus showed us that there's a proper way to do things. He could have went in and just baptized himself, but he followed the rules and wanted to be what God wanted him to be. And God had set up John to go to be the forerunner. And Jesus had an option. I could bypass you because I am Jesus, or I can follow the righteous plan, which is telling us we got to fulfill this so that we can fulfill righteousness. That's what the text said. He said, I suffer it to be so now. In other words, I want you to do this thing now so that righteousness can be fulfilled in us. How many know sometimes you got to make a sacrifice to make things better for somebody else? Jesus sacrificed so that we can have a better life and have a right to the tree of life. And yet this is how we repay him in this time of age. Instead of us educating ourselves and rising up beyond our situation, we still find ourselves living 500 years in the past. How many know it's time to break the chains of bondage and know that we have a Savior who is walking with us? I'm here to tell you, I heard a rapper says, and he's a great rapper, make good money, and he says, for some of these black businesses, they ought to be happy because they're going to get triple paid from insurance. And I want to remind him and anybody else, that's not always the case, because the first thing us as black folks do, we cut corners. Let's just be honest. When you first open a business, people don't realize you don't even make money for the first 2 years. And oftentimes, a lot of our black-owned businesses and small-owned businesses are underinsured. So they don't have the money to pay for all the high insurance costs. And so when things like this happen, most of them would never rebuild. But I want to remind them that you got a Jesus that's on your side. And so during these times of turmoil and trials and trouble, I just want to remind you to do the right thing. Give God a praise where his praise is due. Lift him up, and I guarantee you, this too shall pass. Everybody up in here ought to be wrapped up, tied up, and tangled up in Jesus, knowing that this too shall pass. This is just something that's coming that the devil is throwing at us, trying to keep us divided from the White House on down. But it's time for us to unite and come together and know if God be for us, who can be against us? If God is on our side, and the Bible indicates that God sent his only begotten Son. Let him walk through the earth, get a taste of what this life was all about, and then had him baptized. And if you read the rest of the story, you realize after his baptism, he was led into the wilderness. How many know sometime you will be tempted?
That's right.
You will be tempted. We got some folks that are tempted because they are around the protesters and they see the riots going on, so they tempted to do stuff they would never do in the past. And that's called looting and stealing. Just because somebody opened up the window for you to go in. But how many know every door that's open you shouldn't walk through? Oh, I wish I had a witness up in here. Anytime we can sit here and talk about Black Lives Matter, I want to tell you, every Christian, your life matter as well. Because we belong to God and our lives matter, just like the retired captain who got killed by his own kind. Got killed by his own kind. But Black Lives Matter. How many know Jesus matter in a time like this? And if you don't have Jesus on the inside, I don't care. You can scream and holler, put up all the protest signs you want. But if you don't have Jesus, you don't have a basement to sit, a bottom to sit on, and you don't have nothing to grow on because you have no foundation. I'm here to tell you, you can't have Jesus and mistreat people the way they mistreating people. But I'm here to tell you, you do the right thing and watch how God blesses you. And I want to remind you, this too shall pass. I can get it. This too shall pass. But you got to know how to hang in there. And don't allow the circumstances of the city or the world to persuade you into going in the opposite direction in what Jesus has called you to do. If you don't know what you want, don't get mad at what you get. There's nothing wrong with protesting as long as you know what you want. But if you're just standing there throwing up signs and rocks and causing destruction, then guess what? You are just like the devil in the Bible. All you do is coming and sowing terror in the middle of the night. You're sowing it in the middle of the week, those who are trying to be peaceful. And I want to remind anybody right now that's listening to me today, that to remind you, you can make it. You just got to change your attitude and do the right thing. What is the right thing? The right thing is I keep Jesus first. And when Jesus called upon me to be there, I'm going to be there. When somebody needs my help, I'm going to lend a helping hand. If they call me, I will go. Anybody ready to help somebody today? Anybody ready to just help yourself first of all? You got to be willing to stand up for something or you're going to fall for anything. Is anybody standing up for Jesus in a time like today? In a time like we are in? Is anybody still got Jesus on the inside? Or have we not only shut the church doors, but we have shut our hearts to Jesus? If you got Jesus, then you know this too shall pass. Songwriter says, I can't live without you. I can't breathe without you. Why? Because everything is in you, Jesus. You are my all. Anybody know that Jesus is your all this morning? And I want to encourage you to keep your faith in Jesus. Just like Jesus allowed John the Baptism to baptize him so that the prophecy can be fulfilled. You got to keep on spreading the word of God and stop living in fear and knowing that this too shall pass. What you ought to be prepared for is what's coming next. What's coming next? Because this ain't the first time we done been through the storm. So what's coming next? What's going to be the next thing that happens to us in 4 or 5 years? You got to be prayed up and stayed up because you don't know what's coming next. And on your wellness day, you're sick enough to check out of here. So I want to encourage you as you're walking, as you're talking, as you're meeting people to do the right thing. This is a season to open up your heart and your spirit, and in some cases open up your wallet and bless some folks. Because there are some folks that are struggling right now, but they need to know that Jesus still lives on the inside of us. We may have a mask on, but Jesus is still on the inside of us. We may be walking with sanitizer in our hand, but Jesus is still on the inside of us. And I ain't afraid to shake your hand. I ain't afraid to give you a hug, because if it's Jesus' will, I'm going to be here one more day. Anybody know what I'm talking about? And one day, I'm going to celebrate just like my mother In the midst of what's going on, God is still able to do anything but fail. Is there anybody here that need God to show up and show out in their life today? I'm here to tell you, God is a God of the blessing God. And I want to remind you, he can do anything but fail. And God is so good, how many know that he'll do stuff that you don't expect? You know, I don't put people on the spot, but you know I got to put Cecile on the spot because you know I love her. Nah, she know I can do it. But seriously though, she treated me to some screen. I hadn't had none of it in years and years, and she was down getting some. It's not thoughtful enough to think of me, and I really, truly thank her for that. Don't worry about what she did, man. So you nosy. I'm about to tell you the story, but you nosy. No. She just brought me this scrimp dinner from that high place. And my son, he came in and he seen the empty container on the counter. And he said, what'd you get with fried okra? So he thinking I got some wings. I said, no, I had some shrimp. And he said, where you getting them from? I said, from that old Playboy bar place on the Broadway. He said, from some of that place. His first words came out of his mouth was, did you hit the lottery? I said, what are you talking about? He said, man, I don't go in that place. It's too high. He said, how'd you get it? I said, well, Sister Hill treated me. He said, I heard that. I said that to say that people don't have to be nice. And if they choose to be nice, how many know they don't have to choose you? People don't have to be standing in a line for 40 minutes and all of a sudden think about blessing you. People don't have to spend $1 or $20 on you when they got other things to do. I just want to encourage you to be nice to somebody because you never know when your blessings come around. That's why whenever I'm able, if I got it, I'll treat you. I don't mind if I got it because I never know when I'm going to need a meal. Anybody know what I'm talking about? And I'm here to tell you, I thank you, Sister Hill. I thank you because you didn't have to think about me, little old me. But out of nowhere, you blessed me. And my son was mad because I didn't leave him any of it. So you got to get you some friends like mine. But God is a good God, seriously. I could tell my son to go buy for me. He would, but he'd be cussing me out all the way going down there. In fact, he'd probably say, you know what, forget it. I'm just going to give you the money. I ain't going, man. I ain't going. And then if I say that, buy me something, then mess around and, Jasmine go up in there and see the grill, he going to be to drop $40. He going to be cussing all of us out for about 3 days. We ain't going to get nothing to eat out of here for about 3 more days. He'll be like, y'all better eat that $40 meal y'all ate yesterday. But he will bless us. He will do it. He'll bless us. He'll bless us. He got a good heart. He will do. He's stingy with his heart, but he bless you. He will bless you. Sometimes you got to pull it out of his heart. Give me my money, man. Get it here. Be like a yo-yo. Be coming back up to him. And he don't want to let it go. Man, let it go, man. Nope. Let it go. He'll let you keep it, but he got to hold it on for a while, But no, he's seriously. And what I'm saying is to say, that's how we ought to be, seriously. A kind, giving spirit. Time is winding up, people. It's time to stop playing like we know God and have a real relationship with God. Amen. This is our season to do the right thing, to show other folks that God is still alive, even in the midst of protesting, even in the midst of losing George Floyd, even in the midst of all that. God is still here. And we got to have respect for ourselves so that we can demand respect from other people. Amen? Come on, let's give God a hand praise. Let's get ready to get up out of here. Have the choir give us a quick song, and then we're going to take communion since it's first Sunday. And we're going to get ready to get out of here. Amen? Amen.